Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream where we build the epic Vz-235. Hello, James Rushmere. Mr. James Rushmere. That's your name now. Sebastian. Twans. I really struggle with that name. And Lars. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It does appear to be working, doesn't it? So in the studio kind of, what's it called, dashboard thing where I can see the live stream kind of setup starting, I think it's just popping up a message that says live stream isn't available because everything in the background works. So I've just kind of gone into the, you know how you can like view the page source, the website page source. I've just like gone into that and just deleted the bit on the front. So I just can't see the message and everything still works. So I think the error message is just a bug. And hopefully not going to cause us any further problemos today. But it was rather worrying. It was rather worrying to see that come up just today as I'm trying to do a live stream. I might find that there's other stuff that just doesn't work. It looks like there are some other changes in the dashboard window, so maybe it's just a bit buggy at the moment. Maybe I'm on some segmented trial thing because they like trial their stuff with like a small percentage, a fraction of a percentage of users that you just don't get to choose whether you're in or not. So yes, anyway, what did we do last week? We sort of built all sorts of little bits and bobs, didn't we, last week? But we did kind of finish off. This was, I guess, the kind of main focus, getting this whole main board sorted. It's probably not 100% there. My voice is going a bit weird already. Let me try and talk a little bit quieter. It's probably not 100% there. We've got like fan voltages I've not touched yet. So those will need to be dealt with at some point when I know what voltage fans go in which thing. Obviously there's probably a bunch more stuff to plug in, hot ends and various doodads. Other than that, we at least did the drivers. But I was thinking between the last stream and this one, as one does, I feel like these 4 fans is not an optimal cooling solution. I feel like apart from these cables maybe being in the way, but a big whopping like 120mm fan on the top would probably provide more cooling and potentially maybe quieter, maybe cheaper, I don't know. Because these 40mm fans, especially fairly inexpensive ones, are not particularly quiet. They're all going to have to be connected together, and that might be overloading one of these. I'm not sure. We'll get into it. Maybe it's been tested. It potentially has been, so not too much to worry about. Oh, we have actually got to cut these down, haven't we? Because there's little connectors for each single one. So we need to cut those down and deal with those. So we can do that at some point. There is a mod for a massive fan. Well, that's cool to know. Maybe I'll take a look at that at some point then. One other thing I did. I hope you're ready for this, because this is like the coolest thing I've been working on all week. Where is it? So last week I avoided doing the panels because I wanted to paint them. And I wanted to try and do, let me just show you, shall I? I think it looked pretty cool. Ta-da! It's definitely not perfect. You can probably see if I get it in the right place. There's like some blotchiness around here. I don't have a paint booth or anything, so this was painted just outside. And I obviously masked up all this area in here. Unfortunately, in the process of taking the masking tape back off again, I ended up scratching, somewhere here. And now I've had to kind of paint it over with some black paint, which doesn't match. But I think by the time it's in the build and there's all sorts of other stuff to look at and things going on and no studio lights making everything look way more obvious than it really is, I think it'll be fine. But I think this would be cool, even if they just did. I was thinking it could be like a white dye bond panel, and then you cut this into the middle, and then you get a black logo on a white panel without having to paint it. That would be quite a cool option. Or just do something like this, where you have a panel, paint it black, and then machine this bit out the center. But adding that contrast between the logo and the panel makes it stand out way more. And I think it looks much better than just a plain panel. And the aluminium panels tend to, I think I mentioned before, tend to get a little bit damaged during production because aluminium is a really soft material. So I say really soft, like compared to steel or whatever, which just means like as you're handling it, moving it around, it does have a tendency to get scratched, even if you're really being quite careful. So having just an additional finish on there helps with the overall quality appearance. I think it looks really nice. So I've actually done that with both of the panels. This one actually probably looks better. I wasn't able to spray the sides because, well, painting skills not good. So I painted them and then you get a little bit of overrun. But by the time that's like connected to the frame, I don't think that's going to be visible anyway. So yeah, really happy with how this one turned out in particular. And I don't know if you can see, probably not. Maybe from with the light hits it, it's got this really nice textured finish. So this is a professional grade paint for truck beds. It's called U-Pole Raptor. I think the company is Raptor, and this is like the U-Pole finish thing. So yeah, that's that. I'm really happy with how they turned out. So now we can assemble those if and when we need to. I'm not sure exactly what's next. I haven't asked anyone. There's Swills asking his standard question. What else we got in here? We've got fans, power supplies, beds. Bed can go in kind of last. I think we kind of need to maybe mount the rear panel and start mounting some there's one thing I remember. So we have this slight downside that I can't remember who else it is. Somebody else that bought a Vz-235 kit and is posting about it on Twitter. Rats, forgotten their name. But they pointed out that there are no holes in their panel for DIN rails. So this panel here, well, on the back, although it's obviously the same panel, is where the DIN rails are mounted, and you mount through with screws. I mean, I guess you could stick them on, but yes, Greg's Maker Corner. That I'm pretty sure that's who it was. So yeah, they pointed out that there's no holes for the DIN rails. If we look at the CAD, which hopefully I can be able to bring up, there's no screw holes on that for the DIN rail, so I'm not quite sure what the intention is for mounting. Maybe they're just expecting to be glued on or something. I've got this annoying emoji thing in my chat box on the... Yeah, it's... Can I pop out the chat? For the painting, did you use any primer or slight sanding? I did sand it. So sanding, I mean, you should probably prime as well, but I didn't have a primer, so I didn't use a primer. If you wanted the most durable finish, you would use a primer, but I don't expect this to see very much wear, so I was like, it'll probably be all right, maybe. All I did was get some fairly rough sandpaper. I sanded this all over, both sides. I didn't really do in the holes, but just on the surface. So it was really scratched up all over. That should have something for the paint to grip onto. I then vacuumed it to try and get away all of the dust because you don't want that there. And then I used IPA to clean it down to remove any kind of sticky bits or oil and grease and stuff like that. So that left me with a fairly rough texture of aluminium. I think fairly rough. It's not like, it wasn't like deep grooves, obviously, but just sandpaper. I can't remember what grit. A few hundred, maybe 500 or something. No, that would be finer. Probably 150, 180, 200, somewhere in that region. And that was enough just to paint it like this. It did take a whole can, so I used a rattle can, which is, again, not an ideal method for painting. And I didn't know how much it would be. I expected one whole can to be able to cover a truck bed. It definitely wouldn't be. So I just about managed with these two panels. The coverage is definitely not perfect. If you inspect it really close in some areas, on the back in particular, you can probably see from that angle, like you can see where because I hung them diagonally, not that diagonal, this diagonal. So you can see where I kind of sprayed across it, and there are some thinner gaps. So you could probably improve that. On this side, I did 2 coats, and so you don't have that problem at all. But yeah, a total of 3 coats, 2 on one side, 1 on the other, and the same for the other panel. Oopsie daisy. So shall we try and fit one of these panels on? Again, I'm not sure. I think I'm just sort of missing instructions at this point. Is there anyone here that would like to make a suggestion of what we do next? I've got... So you can fit the panels. This bottom panel looks fairly easy to do. I'm conscious that it will just make the printer heavier, and if it's not needed right away, it might be worth saving till later. Back panel could certainly do with doing, and we'll try and measure up here and drill some holes for DIN rails. Maybe just this one up the top, I'm not sure. There's DIN rails mounted down here, but nothing on them, so I'm not sure. Bottom with the feet, you think, next. I don't have any feet as such. I mean, I've got the big blocks. I don't have these smaller bits in here. Not sure why there's... Oh, these are to, like, screw it down to a surface, aren't they? So we could do the bottom with the feet. That's not a bad choice. I'm going to put on my list, actually, to print some TPU feet. Just as I sat down to plan today's, or kind of set up for today's live stream, I realized there's maybe a few things, additional things that I could print. The static side cooling fans, I think I mentioned them on the last couple of streams that I need to print the parts for those. I end up seeing them on the CAD as I'm setting up for doing the stream, and I go, oh, I can't do those. I haven't printed them yet. What was I going to do? TPU feet. I can't remember if some feet were going to come in the kit for the options, but I don't think there's any included at the moment. Let's try and do this bottom panel. That'll get us going with something while we think about the next steps. So we're going to need some screws. Not quite sure which ones. Doing a lot of babbling and yapping today, aren't I? probably some M5 by 25. That looks like the main corner ones, and those will go presumably straight into the extrusion. There's 4 of them, 1 for each corner. That makes sense. And then looks like probably some M4 by 20 or something. We've got the printed feet somewhere here. So it looks like if we put a nut in here, then we can add the internal feet, the like softer feet, maybe later on. Let's find out what size nut that needs. In fact, we can work it out. This is, oh, that's huge actually. That looks like it could even be for M6. I don't think there is any M6 though. Let's have a ganders at the bottom of here. Oh, that doesn't feel good. So I'm assuming this will go on something like that. So this needs to be the size that screws into there. Which it is, and it goes miles into there. Might just be that they're a little bit oversized. Ah, this looks like the other size screw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. M4 by 20. What a good guess. Right. Pause. Pause. In terms of electronics, all I really did was the main board and setting up the 5160 drivers. The downside, I think, of putting these on is they stick out. They stick out the sides so that you can screw down from the top to screw them into your work surface to keep the printer really like solidly mounted down, held down, whatever. Oh, we need this nut size as well. What the hell is that? Maybe this. Yes. So we put M4 nuts in the top. That way, later on when we get some soft feet, we can hopefully just screw straight into these without having to take the feet back off again. And then we're going to need something to hold these onto here, because these are going to go like through the channels here. So probably some hammer nuts, and 4 hammer nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And of course, is there something else to hold the panel on? No, that is all that holds the panel on. Okay, I was expecting some additional bolts in the middle of that panel. That might be a nice addition, but it does not. So we do not need to worry about that. I feel like this microphone is just a little bit too long. Can I make it shorter? potentially, but not that easily. Okay. So this is going to go in here, that's going to go in there, but we want the panel sandwiched in the middle. It's very strange that there don't seem to be any further problems with the stream, considering it was like adamant, you can't stream, it won't work. It's broken. Well, no matter what I did, I refreshed, cleared cache, all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, can't do it. The moment I try it, just works straight away. So that should go on there like so. It does look like these holes are sized for M6, which is a little bit strange. Do I have a clamp or something nearby? Just need to hold this in place. Here we go. Oh no, before I put that on, I need to put these in as well, don't I? Oh, and they need to go the other side of this. Oh, this is not simple. Okay. So, it's not this. This actually is last, this big screw. First we have to join this to this with this and this. Do I put the hex key back? Let's just use this. There we go. Right. Okay, so that's those two screws in. We then will be able to put this one in, and that will screw in once everything else is also attached. Right. Just so you know, there are, well, I should mention, I guess Mellow did send me this kit to be able to do these live streams, but also there are some affiliate links if you want to get one down in the description. I put down the links there for the GitHub and stuff as well, but also the 235 and 330 kits. They won't come with these panels, or well, they come with the panels, sorry, but they don't come with looking like this. This is my paint job. You can tell because it's rather imperfect, but looks good from a distance, so it's good enough for me. This kit version that I'm building is kind of the beta kit, the first batch. Well, there's a bit of refinement in terms of the screws and fixings and a couple of little parts that were not here right at the start, but mostly it's been pretty successful, I'd say. It's not quite as polished as the Voron kits yet, but I'm sure we'll start to see that as we go through time. A vinyl wrap would be a really nice idea. I don't think there would be any problems in terms of the chamber heat. That might be one thing you want to check, but otherwise you should be fine, I think. Wrapping is definitely a kind of safe way, because obviously you can, if you mess it up, you can just tear it off and start again. So it's a good flexible option. Now I need to make sure, so there's, on this panel, there's 2 big holes. And so there's no holes here, 2 big holes here. Just got to make sure that my big holes go in the right place. So the big holes go at the front. This is the front. Big holes up there. And then we need to align all of these little T-nuts to be able to slot into the extrusion all at the same time. Good luck with that. Have we done it? I think we're there. Nice. If you're considering the paint finish that I did, unless you do professional paintwork for a living, I would probably not advise it. It's not a very safe paint to use. It's urethane based, it's like extra toxic and all this kind of stuff. So I'd recommend some more hobbyist friendly, home DIY friendly kind of paint that's not quite so toxic and harmful and nasty. You probably won't get the same textured finish, but just a plain, even matte black or satin, or even gloss, yeah, pretty much anything would look pretty good, I think. Or as you say, the vinyl wrap idea is quite a nice one as well. And then you could get like a textured pattern. I'd probably avoid doing carbon fiber because that tends to just look pretty cheap. But there's plenty of other patterns, I suspect. Now we need the big screws. The thing I would just suggest you look out for when you do kind of the painting and coloring or whatever is contrast and like appropriate color matching. So using color wheels and whatnot to find some colors that go well together, and getting good contrast, obviously like black against silver, the kind of thing, because that's how stuff like really pops and makes you really notice it. So like obviously black and red is pretty good coloring. You could do black in the lettering and red on the panel, or vice versa. This is really weird. I'm not sure how. There we go. This is when it's going to start to get pretty heavy, because these aluminium panels, although aluminium is fairly lightweight, once you get big pieces of it, it's not lightweight anymore. That looks absolutely awesome. I was just going to say carbon fiber. Yeah, carbon fiber is one of those things, like if it's used in the right way in terms of like engineering wise, for example, don't use it on a deep sea submarine, or on like, but it works well on like gantry things. If it's like actually made of carbon fiber in the right engineering way, I think it looks fine. It's when you start doing it for things where it's clearly just not really meant to be there, and that it's a vinyl wrap because you wouldn't do carbon fiber for that, and then it's just, I know, I think it gets overused and ends up looking a bit cheap. Personally, I think just using colour, splashes of colour in the right place, look really good. I mean, if I had this as like the all black build, and then, for example, made this logo red, that would really stand out. But if the whole back panel, the back panel was black, you'd just not notice the logo at all. I'm wondering if a good thing to do would be some layout. Instead of diving straight in to drilling holes and mounting the back panel, we'll put the panel down and test some layout things. Because in terms of like wiring things up, getting a good layout can be pretty helpful. And it can help you make sure you've got all the things that you need as well. So let's give that a bit of a go. I think this printer needs an accent color. It does. I'm not sure where it's going to come from or go to yet. It was going to be red. I was going to do black and red on the parts, but I wanted to just kind of get them done because there was no like pre-listed suggested colorings. If there was suggested coloring, I probably would have set those up to have some black and red. Because if it's just going to look all black, I mean, kind of at the moment, the accent color is silver, right? We've got lots of parts in black, but there's silver accents in logos and the steel rods and all this kind of stuff. But yes, you're absolutely right. Another good accent color would look good. So this one, I can't see quite where it goes in comparison to other things. Looks like it's in line with this hole. So looks like one of them is intended to go here and another one maybe down here somewhere. Somewhere there. This will mount on here. Probably just mount that on there. There's no release lever for this. That's not ideal. Does it even fit? There's just leave it somewhere there for now. Wow, when you put that board on the back panel, you start to realize how big it is in comparison to the size of the printer. So we've got a 24-volt power supply. One's going on one side and one's going on the... Is this supposed to have holes as well? Looks like lots of holes are going to be needed. So one of these is going to mount somewhere like this. Oh, I guess with the terminals pointing inwards. One side and one to other side. I mean, it would be nice to have them, but you've got a lot of space used by other things. So vertical like this might be our only option. We've then got we need a... I do have one. It doesn't look like an SSR mount is included. I thought I saw one. Oh, we need this out now. Oh, that's got a thing as well. It's going to have to... I think that mounts on this thing up here. That's got a PCB that's got to go somewhere. Das ist screen. There's a new version of the screen now as well for anyone interested. Based on the comments, my comments from last week, they've made a couple of little, couple of little improvements. Hi, Steve. Hello, Steve. Everyone say hello, Steve. Was it as easy as a refresh fixing the stream error? No, unfortunately not. But there doesn't actually seem to be an error. It's one of those, I think I'm on like a testing stage because my studio page is looking a little bit different. And I think it's just a bug where this error message pops up, even though it's not needed. Like this, the streaming obviously works absolutely fine. But if I refresh the page, then that error will just pop up in front of everything else. So I've just used the source inspection of the page to just delete the error message, because I couldn't get it to go away otherwise. So does it work? Yes. Is it fine? No. Will it be okay? Who knows? It's working for now. We also need a Pi and a Pi mount. I've got an SSR mount. Let's go fetch one. At least I should do. I bought a few extras for a previous project and didn't end up using them, so I should have should being the optimal word. Oh. Well, I don't know where they are. How have I lost them? Surely not. Oh, I'm going to need a Raspberry Pi as well. Unfortunately, it did not come with a Raspberry Pi or other similar device. I'm tempted to try and do a Pi Zero or something, but it can be more effort than it's worth. Let's have a dive through these boxes. Hopefully we can find an SSR. You probably could use the Voron clips, yes. I might look into that. I mean, they're DIN rails, so DIN, well, DIN is basically the German name for standards organization. I don't know what it actually stands for. But yeah, DIN rails are a standard size. So the only difference would be the hole positions across the top. Obviously, the mounting holes are going to be potentially different. There is no DIN clips in there. Rat. Different box. Ow! Deutsches Institut für okay, I can't pronounce it, but German Institute for Normalization, basically. How could I not find any of these DIN rails? I literally bought like 4 or 5 at one point because I was like, I'm definitely going to need these. Oh dear. I can't find a single one now. What the dickens have I done with those? What a fool. I've put them probably somewhere nice and safe so that I can't lose them. Lo and behold, they get lost. So I need SSR mount. I need a Pi mount. Speaking of, let's see if we have a suitable Pi. I think we probably do somewhere in here. Right, oh, with DIN rail brackets already included. A Pi 4 Model B. Yes, please. With fluid already installed. Bada bing, bada boom. That's that problem sorted. No DIN rail brackets though. Don't think I'd have put them in here anyway. Hello, Benny. Where would one put one's DIN rail brackets if one was to have 3 or 4? Do you need a Pi DIN rail solution? I have one. Ta-da! It's the Voron. Well, it's actually the LDO Voron one. Well, at least it's the one that LDO suggest. I don't know if they suggest it on Voron manuals too. Originally, the Voron one was just a single clip, but that was a little bit wobbly left to right. So the LDO had the double one, and that works rather well. So I can use that. So no. No, basically, no. Adam has them all. There's it looks like I've got a few. I do have a few. Fortunately for me. I'm getting mentally caught up on the lack of DIN rail bracket. So this is going to go here. This is going to go somewhere down here. So we don't want this. Do we need anything else? I'm trying to think what's inside my other printers. We normally have a power supply for the Raspberry Pi. I can use my integrated one, or I think the suggested is come off the board. We don't have CAN bus, so we don't need that. Power supply would normally mount to one of these, but these are hopefully going on the sides if we can find a way to drill those out. So I think that's it. We've got some whopping great. I mean, these are absolutely huge. I think we need some smaller ones of these. These are at least twice the size of the ones in the Voron LDO kits. Like, nobody has this many wires. The other thing is this small PCB. I don't know where this is going to go either. I think I did see a suggested mount in some instructions somewhere. So you might remember from the last week the website with the massive images, the VzBot docs. I think on here, yeah. So there's a sort of suggested layout, I guess. Duct tape not included. So they've got these. We're going to need Wago terminals. That's what we're going to need. The Wago boys. Oh, and we've also got these side mounts. These are going to be important in terms of getting the power supply mounting in the correct place, I think. How do these fit? Something like that. I have no idea. We go back to here. There you go. You can see how I can't rotate this now. There we go. So this goes right down to the corner. This sits at the top corner of that. So that will give us a position. So there are holes for this piece. That's good. And then that's going to go there. Likewise, I guess we mirror this on the other side. I can't see chat. Here we go. Regarding accent colors, everything that was red on the CAD, I just plan to print in not black. Yeah, that's definitely an option. I just didn't really have the time at the time to go through and check exactly what part is what part. I just wanted to like print the stuff. But yeah, that would be one way of marking. I think hopefully before too long they'll have a good listing of what you can use, a suggested coloring format. But yeah, it wasn't available for me at the time. So we've got mains coming in here, but the downside is it also has to come all the way along to the other side. I think maybe we want this a little bit higher. We've got this to deal with here. The power supply for the Pi is going to be closed. This can move right because there's nothing over that edge. Oh, there is. There's all the stepper motors over that edge. Right. Okay. I'm just thinking as well, we can double check because we have that colored panel. I believe this one with the logo actually mounts to the top of here. Huh. Immediately I see some problemos. I think these holes might be in the wrong place. Because this overlaps here. But according to the CAD, that is where those power supplies should sit. Oh no, there's a bit of overlap, so let's just move this off. So that goes here, but that can come across to about there. That one there, that comes across to about there. Should be, I guess, just enough to miss that fixing hole. That's still not quite enough. Those holes the right size? I think we need M4 holes for these, and I think they're not quite large enough. Oh, we don't need this box now. Fans in the power supply. Is it this list of extra bits? I'll try and remember. If you ask me on the Discord later, then I'm more likely to do it, because obviously I can't do it now. When people ask me stuff like that, I tend to just get it done like immediately, so I don't have to think about it later. There's something weird going on here. Something is. That looks square. No, this is not. So maybe something like that. But does that go through here? It does not. But that is the screw for this. It is. So these holes are not quite the right size. I don't know where that French accent came from. They're M3 holes, I think, and they need to be M4 slotted holes. But it is something we can put down onto here. Because it has those holes on it, we can use them to align this. The downside is we still have to position this. And I'm not quite sure what that position is. How's going to be a good way to do this? I mean, obviously I can punch the holes through to mark them when it's done. But I do need to get that panel in the right place. There's another question about power supplies. The fans in the power supply suck air in. Shouldn't they be pointing out to draw cool air in? The temperature change of the air within the power supply is, I mean, it doesn't, no, it's, yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter really. Whichever way you do it, whichever way you put the fan, there's an open hole and something moving air through it. Like, there's cold air coming in regardless of which way around the fan is. Either way, cold air goes into power supply. So we've got to deal with this as well, these DIN rails. It's a little bit over detailed, this model, in my opinion, but there you go. Don't need that. See, there's holes in this one. These are the holes that I'm missing. This hole here and this hole here. Well, the 48-volt drive, the 48-volt power supply is here, and the drivers are here. So it's in the vicinity to supply that power. We just have to get mains to it from over here. And we've got this, and I'm guessing the bed is maybe going to go out one of these holes, but it's in the corner, so maybe it's more likely this hole. So that's probably going to end up maybe towards there. We'll have the mains coming in, maybe all the way over here. No, we probably want mains coming to here. I might have printed some extra brackets. I printed a bunch of Voron stuff, the spare parts, a while ago. Spare part. It was actually kind of material testing. I just wonder if I have brackets that I can use in place of things. I don't think I printed any like din rail part stuff. Use a couple of things as placeholders though, just to help me plan out where things are going. So I put our DIN rail, our Wago terminals here. So we'll have the mains come into the DIN. There's a template somewhere. Yes, by all means, please share if you find a template. I mean, I can use the panel as a template, but it's not ideal. So we got the mains power coming in here. This is going to go to a bunch of Wago DIN terminal things here. We need to ground the blooming thing somehow. Earth it. That should be earthed actually through power supplies, so we're probably good there. Those are going to be screwed to the they'll be screwed to the panels, but they may not actually contact because this urethane coating is quite thick. So we might have to ground it somewhere else. I mean, we're going to have some screws for the DIN rails, so maybe we'll just ground to that. So some Wagos here for the high voltage, which is going to go to here. It's going to go to ground. It's going to go to power, SSR. And it says earth the mounting rail. It will be. We'll have an earth through here. And then the other high voltage is going over to here, which is unfortunately now on the high side. Here it's nice down here. The other one is going to be up here, which puts a lot of height to wires, which makes them sort of not so easy to sort of tie down. I guess we can go kind of up the side. That'll be all right. That's going to provide 48 volts to some other Wagos, which we're going to put down here. And these are going to be our 48 volt Wago terminals. So we're going to come out of one of each of those down to here. So hopefully I've got enough of these Wago blocks. Normally we have a 5-volt power supply, which we don't need this time. So maybe we only need the 3-pin ones. I think these two, we're definitely going to need 2 5s for there. That's going to be the 48 volt side. That might have to go over because we're probably going to need a 24 volt Wago set as well. I know we've got a few terminals out of here, so we might just be able to get away with using those. We've got mains coming in to 1, out to 2. We're going to need a larger one for earth. So right, 2 in live. So then earth goes here, here, and here. That's 3. We don't have any 4-pin Wagos. It's 3, 2, 3, and 5. So we've got in, live, neutral. Okay. So then we've got low voltage side coming out of here. Probably want to go up rather than back down to the mains bit, really. This thing is never easy. I almost want to. This space down here feels wasted. Not anymore. This thing is way too big. I want this, but I want it smaller. It just doesn't need to be. This is like 40 mil high and 20 mil wide. Half the height, 2/3 the width, something like that would be fine. Anyway, we might have. Oh, that's going to have to be attached to this anyway. So maybe mains comes in here to the middle. So we go in here, mains, split out for bed, and the other power supply. That brings this down to here. We'll have our other link to templates. Oh. Design these quickly to act as a guide. Are they 235 or are they 3? I think these are 330. The back panel on that looks massive compared to mine. And the filter and everything's different. I think those are. Yeah, unless there's ones for 235 there as well. No. You sent me a PM. You did. Oh, did I print that? Haha. I'm not sure that's going to help, is it? I don't know, maybe. Maybe well. Did I print that? It looks familiar, so it's possible I did. Alas, I did not. So I'll add that to the list. I'll copy that in the chat as well. So low voltage side, we have, where are the demands? What's the wiring out on this? I think there was a sticker in the box that would help. Am I going to peel this sticker off? Da, da, da. I've made you a standard moderator. Hopefully that will allow you to post links. Obviously, I think you're sensible enough to realize if it's mistreated, it shall not last. But I trust you. Okay. I know you can't quite see that sticker from here, but there's now a sticker on here, so I can see what's going to go where. So, low voltage plan. 24 volt low voltage. Let's grab ourselves another placeholder for stuff and things. A couple of DIN rail dooblies here. So the bed out, that's going to go here. The bed power, that's going to come. Yeah, I suppose that's just, yeah, 24 volts. Power for board slash heaters, that's 24 volts. And drive power high is going to 48 volts. Is drive, do we need that drive power? Because I think we're powering from elsewhere. Looks like we potentially don't. Or maybe we do. It's a wiring diagram documentation. I didn't find a wiring diagram for the documentation. I'm sort of doing this willy-nilly. So I think, is that going to give us much benefit? We need drive power out, board power, bed power. We need 3 outputs. So we do need 2 more 5s for that. I can recommend Inkscape. Inkscape's, although obviously it's not like an electrical wiring diagram tool, it's really easy for doing just like basic shapes, kind of like paint, but like you can actually like move stuff around rather than just as soon as it's dropped in, it's committed to. That's not, yeah, it's, I think visibly, like it's fine in that it kind of makes sense, but it does look kind of like spaghetti junction. That would be my only comment, really. Oh, we do need a linking between the high voltage, there are 2 voltages. So we link the ground side so that our ground is common. So that's 4 outputs ground. We're still not gonna have enough if we do this. We need 4 just for these. I mean, it could potentially also be done within the control board, and it may already be. Maybe we go directly from the output of the power supply over to here, or over to output on there. There's much wirings to be done. It's actually quite good for converting raster to vector. I think Inkscape's brilliant. I use it for doing diagrams. Because once you've got like a template of what you want, like copy, pasting, moving, rotating, and scaling, it's just so quick and easy. Control board does not get 48 volts at all, only the 5160s. Well, this is what I thought, because if your drive power is being passed to the drivers, this is just like enable, disable stuff. But the docs does show a printer with drive power provided to here also. Yeah, I mean, that's, if I'm not going to here, then I've got to, but I don't have enough. I do not has enough. I need more Wegos. Wego. Wego. It'd be really nice if these were on like a bus. A bus bar. A bus bar would be muchly appreciated for that. And I still haven't sorted out the CPAP. What voltage does that need? Oh, this fucking emojis button. It's bloody rubbish. The motherboard still gets 24 volt input on the motors, so you could potentially use port 7 with a 2209. CPAP is 24 volts, so I need an... Oh my goodness. So many voltages. What I need is some, like... I think bus bars. Well, after you've got past this many Wagos, I mean, I'm going to be putting, like, so many Wagos in here, it's going to start looking silly. CPAP was on here as well. And the CPAP goes to... Why does CPAP go to Raspberry Pi? So confused. I'm really confused, mate. It doesn't happen very often. So we've got this board. This obviously connects to this. That's trivial. Yes, excellent. We need a mount for this PCB. Oh, that cable's pretty long. So I'm just damaging everything now. It's possible. I mean, I'm a bit worried about the USB-C cable. We might have to find a right angle USB-C doobly, but if we do, that can probably squeeze along pretty far. We can move that back along here a little bit. CPAP's going to mount here, and that PCB can go on this DIN rail as well. Although it'd be nice over here because that's where the more 24 volt stuff is. Because that's right under the 48 volt area. Does that help anything? It's a potentially interesting configuration. Still not far enough for this. It's going to have to find some interesting mount in the middle of no man's land, I think. Yeah, I can see where 24 volt comes in, and then you've got these other like 6 signal wires. For powering the CPAP, we hook up the plug on the control board bottom right directly to 24 volts of the power supply, so black goes to negative, red goes to positive. From the large plug on the bottom left, we only need the grey wire, so the second from left. This wire gets plugged into port GPIO 26 on the Pi. That's the second from the bottom left pin on the Pi. You can do this by crimping JSTXH 2-pin plug. That's not JSTXH. Anyway, on the end grey wire, this is the same type of plug used on your motherboard. It wouldn't match the Pi, but that's not too. That's fine. So we only use one pin, but surely it would make more sense to have this attached to the motherboard instead of to the Raspberry Pi. Or are we running out of fan ports on the... What is that? It's like a bit of glue residue on the tip of the pin. So I need a CPAP. CPAP mount. Everyone's just like launching links at me. Links from all sides. Yeah, I got the diagram. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it. I see where it goes. This is JSTXH, isn't it? Maybe, but that's a 6-pin JSTXH. Is there... Is there a JSTXH included in the baggie? No, I think I've just thrown the baggie because it didn't have anything else in it. So we're going to need a 6-pin XH just to plug into here, or we just solder on the connector at the back. The grey wire is... Second from the left. Oh, we've got the grey one here. That says HC. Down here it says VSR. The VSR pin. Voltage speed regulation or something. Yeah, 24 volts. So this obviously mounts in such a way here. Ooh, it kind of almost presses into the hole. Nice. Yeah, that mounts so that you get fresh air. Well, not the opposite of fresh air, the warm air from inside the case, inside the printer. Inside the printer. Oh, I've lost my chat window. Everyone panic. Where's chat got? There it is. What would you pay now for a wiring loom pre-configured? Whoop. Both power supplies are LRS, unfortunately. I did mention it to Simon already. I've talked to Lineo and, well, not specifically on this project, but wiring harnesses, are not cheap. They are a lot of work, and to make it economical, you obviously need to make quite a few of them. Now, it's all very well saying, oh, you can just do this and just do that. But if you make 50 wiring harnesses, and they don't work, or they're too long, or they're all too short, or something like that, you just, like, it's not trivial to just summon these things and get them right first time. Which way round does that fan go? I don't know, but we've got a mount. That mounts on that, something like that. I don't really think a harness is going to be needed. You know what I would probably prefer? and maybe this is something I'll even design for the VzBot specifically, is just a PCB panel. You just like plug it in, and then it tells you on the PCB 24 volts, 24 volts, 24 volts, 48 volts, and then you just connect things into it, and it sort of does all the complicated crossing over and under, all that weird shit for you. You just bang it in, jobs are good. And then some bus bars for this, because these are huge. Huge. Because while these Wagos are great, they are quite expensive to have quite a few of them. PCBs are quite cost efficient. And as long as you understand the current loading, etc., you can do quite a lot with not very much. I don't feel I've made very much progress yet today. We've been an hour and a half. I've just spent an hour and a half making a mess. I'm going to take a picture of what I've had so far. The nice thing about having a PCB as well, you can then just change cable length, and you can just have like plain cables in this. You don't have to worry about these huge exuberant harnesses, which, while very nice and very fancy and very easy, are not easy on the designer side. Whereas PCBs are pretty easy on both sides, I think. But I think this is the plan. Something that vaguely resembles a plan anyway. Now that I've... Oh, dear. Oh, it's not quite stuck. Wiring is definitely... Oh, it's weird, isn't it? It's complex because there's a lot you can get wrong, and it's obviously a high risk factor, because if it does go wrong, it can go very wrong. But there's nothing like... It's not really that difficult, is it? Like this is a plug, and it connects to this plug. Like, you make a thing and you plug it in. Like, it's not hard, but it's very time consuming, and everyone wants it to look good, be organized, not be messy, and not be too long, not be too short. Let's make a thing. I think we've got a power supply connectory doodad. Not in there. Not in there. One of these boxes. Here we go. There's a bunch of wires with it as well, so... But again, wires is good. But I also need to know what the lengths are. So I really need all this stuff like buttoned down, because if I DIN rail there or DIN rail here, it might seem like it's like an inconsequential thing. But if it makes your wire 10 mil too short, you're stuffed. I'm not exactly sure what each of these various colors and things are intended for either. These are also... I'm going to have different colors for these, I think. I want to buy more connectors. I want some better UK crimping connectors. So we have some long power cables here. I think this is obviously intended for this, to do the things here. but they're not really preferable colour for me. UK colouring, I mean, it's difficult to make a kit that has all the right colouring. I think LDO has done it though, so not impossible. So there's no earth cable. I'm not going to use this. Let's make some cables. Right. I have the tools. We shall make it from scratch. We need these. We need these. Maybe. I need these. Little ones. Big ones. Terminals. We've got some of those for doing the fans as well. Crimping stream. I mean, let's be honest, I've spent an hour and a half doing nothing, so what's better? Nothing or crimping? I suppose I've spent an hour and a half thinking. That's what I've been doing. I need some wires. Right. I have some wires specifically for doing these. Specifically. I'm going to empty that box by the end of this build. Making wires. Right. Do you reckon this is enough? I kind of wish I had a wider angle. People don't necessarily buy kits to make it easier. Like, well, to make the sourcing easier. There's a middle ground, right? Because I've been thinking about this in terms of other things recently. If you make things easier, there's an element of joy from still accomplishing the same goal, but doing it in a slightly easier way. But if you make it too easy, you no longer get the satisfaction from completing the thing. Like IKEA kits, for me, easy peasy, and I'm sure many of you find them easy, but I know a lot of people find them very stressful and very difficult. But there's a level of difficult where, like, you feel happy that you've done it. Whereas if you just buy a thing, there's no satisfaction. So a 3D printer kit for me is like a good level of, you're building it yourself, but you don't want it so complex that you feel like you're going to fail. So here I don't feel like I'm going to be failing, just to be clear. But obviously this is early version of the kit, so I'm just finding my feet with understanding what is done and what is not done yet. So I'm just going to cut some wires to get started here. So to begin with, we've got live and neutral. I always forget which way around these go. I think live. Oh, goodness. I've it's weird because I think all the time growing up I was like the more vibrant color is the one that's live, right? So blue is live because it looks more alive, sort of. It looks more dangerous because it's this vibrant electric blue. And then brown is like dull. That must be the neutral one. And then I was like, oh no, it's the other way around. Now I forget which way I used to remember and which way I used to forget. Brown is live because that's the color your trousers go when you touch. It's so counterintuitive, isn't it? Now these are probably not the right size terminals either, annoyingly. I think the right size would be blue. These are different as well. I think I bought some of these recently. I have a bunch of blue terminals, but I don't think I have blues for this. Yeah, I have blues for holes and forks. I need to get blues for this. For reference, blue is a slightly smaller size than red. Red is the middle size, I believe. Oh no, blue is slightly larger. I thought blue was slightly smaller. Maybe I've got confused again somewhere. This is a better size. That's nice and tight. So tight I can't get it back off again. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think one of these is going to be a light, and the other 2 will be the switch. So we might be able to do 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Although these 3 are the fatter ones, so we'll do fat ones down there. What should I say is IC 13 versus 14? This is the live. Because the way I always remember, I mean, this one is actually marked with live neutral, but the live will always go through the fuse. So the fuse is obviously here. So this is going down through the fuse. So live is this side, here. So neutral's going here. Is that going to be too long? I think it's quite long, but I think it'll be okay. I'm happy with that length. We'll just do that. Yeah, people remember it in different ways. And as long as you always remember it a consistent way, then it's fine. But at some way along that road, I remembered it wrong. And now every time I remember it, I have to doubt whether I was wrong or whether I was right to know if I now need to correct my wrong remembering or not. Yeah, I can check the fuse if you like. This is a 5 amp fuse. That doesn't seem that much. 5 amps? 1200 watts? So brown is live, blue is neutral. I don't know how this switch is wired. Caught my hand in the drawer. I think I need a new battery in my multimeter as well, because occasionally when I turn it on, it just seems to immediately turn off. So what's got... So that's not connected anything. Just be sure. And then I think what we have here is go from this to this. Not quite sure what to put on that brass coloured terminal. It's for the light, I'm pretty sure. I'm not super happy with the grip strength of these. This is not necessarily a recommended thing to do, but I just press down on those clamping bits just a little bit extra to force them to grip a little harder. Yeah, when printing it will be quite low. The highest will be on heat up, because you'll probably have potentially your bed and hot end at max power for a short period of time. That'll probably be your max current draw, because your motors are probably all enabled at that point as well. I'm not going to share my daily charging. What do you want me for? Now we got a tough one. There we go. Again, that one feels a little bit loosey-goosey. So I'm just going to cheat a bit and push these inwards to touch. That's not helped. Let's do the other one. Full wiring. Well, I do like full printer assembly. I've not done many, but for companies that want it, I do it. It isn't cheap. It like doubles the cost of the printer. You get it done. Obviously in that I can do the part printing and stuff too. That is gone on there squiff. How the hell's that happened? What the flip? What the floopy doop has happened there? Do not do this. Okay, I think we're good. Optimize 2.4 for 600 watts peak. Yeah, I've been thinking about that for the for Smurf in December. I'd quite like to have a few printers there, but if I'm limited to a couple of 100 watts of power, that's going to be somewhat difficult. Maybe we'll just go without the light. I'd never use the light on these. You can see if it's on or off anyways. The other thing we need is an earth. We don't know the length yet, so we'll probably crop a little bit extra. Where are we going? Down here. What we put on. What's the, here we go. There's 3 pins in this bottom section. Yes, you're right. I've done this wrong. What an idiot. Thank you for mentioning that. Good question. That was close. What a blithering idiot. This is why you shouldn't do wiring live on stream, because you're going to F it up. Obviously, you don't connect blue and brown together across a flipping switch, because you're going to have a party if you do that. I'm not quite sure exactly how that bottom switch works. I'm going to look it up after the stream. But it should just be brown. I think it's going to be brown to here, brown out here. I'm not sure what's going to go here, because that will cut the brown if you put it across here. Maybe put a live here. Let's just make any sense. I don't know. If you could, maybe it could be live here, in which case I might keep that wire that I've just thrown away, just in case it's useful for that. Because then that would give you a potential difference of 230 volts for the light. What about a standard build wire diagram? I think the that is the kind of thing that I like. But I know a lot of people, especially in builds like this VzBot, where it's not necessarily very standard yet, and the people that have built them up to now are sort of used as a template and modified a little bit. So there's not really a standard design yet. When there is, obviously you need to make that choice, and that's kind of thing that LDO's done. They've got the standard design with a couple of modifications, and that's what they've formed their kit around, and that allows them to then have harness and things and know that they're going to be the same every time. Until you have that standard design, oh, that blue is very long, that's not going to be so easy. Surely the kit is now the standard version. Yeah, in a way, you're not wrong there. Obviously the pie is not included, so that may have some variance if people choose non-standard pies. But given they are coming back in stock now, that hopefully should go away. But you're right, yeah. But still, wire lengths are not necessarily that easy to get exactly right, and it's a big commitment. But you're right, it's like it's the idealist way to go. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, this is very much my personal opinion. When you have a kit, you need to be telling everyone how to do it. If your kit says you can do it like this, or you cannot, or you can do it this way, or you can choose your own way. I don't know. I don't think this is good. I think if you have a kit and you have all the standard parts, tell people how to put it together with those standard parts and do the thing. If people want to do their own thing, they will know that when they get to that part of the instructions, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go do my own thing. But there should be a, this is the way to do it this way. I find it when writing, because obviously I have some of my own products, so when I'm writing assembly instructions and things for those, I want to have, it's nice to have when you're doing that design, that flexibility to go, well, I think it should be done this way, but I don't want you to not get involved because you don't like the way that I'm doing it. So you write it in a way that's like, you can do it this way, or you can do it your own way. And it feels like you're giving flexibility to the user. But the end, the way I think it comes across is that you're just not committed to your own design, or you're not sure your own design is good enough. And I think when you buy something, you would look for that confidence in their design and go, this is how you do it. This is the best way. We've come up with the best way. Do it that way. It gives you a lot of confidence that the design is going to come out the way you want it to. Maybe I'm talking shit. I don't know. Just my opinions. So I'm not sure. There's no hex nuts for these, so I think whatever screws we use are going to be self-tapping into this doobly-doo. Looks like this is M3, so these are countersink normally, so some M3 countersink screws would be ideal, but it doesn't need to be M3 countersink really. Anything would be fine. Doesn't need to be very long. We'll just use some M3x8s, I think, because they're here. I think it's surprising, especially when you're on the kind of the designing team. As I said, you want to give that flexibility because it feels like a good thing. It feels like if you're giving options, then you're going to be able to grab more people's attention with your design, because it will apply to those people over there that want this, and it will apply to those people over there that want that. It feels like a really good thing, and you have like these modular designs, and it's so flexible, and you can do what you like, and it's all great, but it ends up not feeling great to me. Is that modularity and flexibility is always a compromise. I think it's, as an example, if you look at products that say they're like 5-in-1 or 3-in-1, or oh, this is a 10-in-1 thing, it'll do those things, but it'll do them all pretty badly, right? They've tried to do everything, in the end, you don't do anything very well. Thanks for popping in, John. Enjoy your work, as I enjoy my work. This counts as work. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, the brown's a little bit long, but it's not too bad. Have I made these long enough? Actually, I can just move this along. That'll be all right. Those two definitely are. That one can just go here. That'll be okay. And then we'll work out if we need this cable later on. Until I want this in place. Or I could, that be the other way around. Getting that to that, that to that. I feel like maybe this live one could be here. High voltage. Maybe face them all down, and then they come in here and back out here, and those go up over here. Plenty long enough. This is going to be a cable management channel thing. I realised this whole time my head is just not even in the shot. I can't get both. I've got one VzBot with the electronics on the back and one with a skirt and everything on the bottom. Both are great and have their advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, that's fine. But I think when you have a kit, the best outcome for that kit is to choose one of those designs. They'll have advantages, they'll have disadvantages, but it's best to choose. Because a lot of the time the user won't necessarily want to even get involved with making that decision. If you as the designer don't make that decision or can't make that decision, I don't think you can expect the user to be able to make that decision. And it makes it a barrier to entry. If you can't choose if the electronics is best for your printer on the back or on the side or on the bottom, what's the user going to do? They're going to come to the same challenge, but with much less expertise and information than you have, and try and make a decision. I think I'm going to try and tackle a bunch of these fans. We can probably don't need all this mains wiring sitting on my lap now. That's probably not going to hold very long, but it'll do for now. So I think the best way to tackle this is probably going to be chop them all off. Yeah, this is one where like the length could be super optimized to be the perfect length, but choppy, that's a lot off. I'll try and want to make them all the same. Uh, I think best to take this off so I can get better access, because when you're doing crimping, you just want the best access to stuff you can get. If you're having to fiddle around amongst other wires, you're more likely to make mistakes. I think the back with electronics is a good idea. I'm guessing my panel, just because it's beta, is missing some of the holes. So, I mean, when that goes in, that'll be great. And then you've got your DIN rail fixed. As long as you've got layout for all those things. Provide the location, I should say, for each of these various modules or whatever. Then you're onto a winner. So we've got to do some pretty small terminals for these. These are JSTPH. So about as tiny as you tend to do on 3D printers, although you can go smaller. There's always a smaller option. I think with VzBot, it's not so much that it's not going to be done. You're obviously just early in the stages of things, right? It's a kit that's progressing. It's come quite a long way in a fairly short amount of time. So there's always going to be areas where you can improve, because the more time you have with it, the more opportunities you have to actually do those changes that you want to do. So while things don't necessarily exist yet in the exact way that we want them to be, these are things that can be done over time. Yeah, I don't remember exactly where I need to position this in here to work the best. Somewhere here should be okay. It's not ideal. It'll work. I wouldn't expect a harness to be something that comes anytime soon. Partly as well because you've got to remember that even the hardware in your kit is not necessarily constant. Because, I mean, let's say Raspberry Pi release a new version of the Raspberry Pi. It seems unlikely at this point, but maybe a new control board version is more likely. If that changes and the layout changes, suddenly your cable, your harness that you've got 200 of for people to buy, doesn't fit. You what? Scrap them? Like, you can normally make extensions and modifications, but those it's just more cost. A single harness is probably a risk, but smaller harnesses are probably more viable. But yeah, controlling that layout, I think, is important for consistency. Sort of on there. I think we're right. It's also, you're right, it's great to keep improving things and look for, again, opportunities where you can make improvements. And I'm sure you are, but obviously more changes and always more better. Even if the part is better, like there's something quite nice about having stuff consistent. If your build changes every couple of months, users might get sort of the wrong picture with, no, that's wrong. With regard to like why there's changes, like is it the design still being worked on? Is it done? Is it not done? Is it safe to buy? In terms of like, am I getting the best thing, or am I just gonna feel like I'm out of date immediately? There are a lot of decisions that go in whether to upgrade things, but I'm sure you're plenty aware of that kind of thing already. So now that we have our connectors, we just got to jam one of these on the end. So I'm not quite sure. Yes, good. It's labeled. So the plus is that side. The negative is this side. And that won't go in for some reason. Probably crimp a little tighter. Right. Now we need to copy that. So we can take all the connectors out of here. That was weird. That was a very strange noise. 3, 4. Then we just wire them all the same as the first one. And we're good to go. If, like me, you have trouble pushing them in, pressing on the actual terminal, the actual metal terminal itself, from the back, can help pushing them in. Don't push on the wire and try and jam the wire in the hole. Just push directly on the terminal and it'll go in. Should go in. Right. Did you use the crimps from the box of the 5160? There's a not JSTXH. This is my box of JSTPH. I'm guessing I have all the extra ones in here. Yes. Yep. So if you don't have a box of terminals like I do, they do come with the 5160 drivers. So you can use those too. Do I need access to any more of these dooblies? Oh, I need access to the top of these, which is unfortunate that I can't do over that. I guess I can put them on for now. I'll probably leave the wires unplugged for a bit. But they should all slot into their respective connector dooblies. Probably won't be easy, but it'll go. Other plans for a water-cooled kit? I believe the water-cooled parts are more likely to come as a separate upgrade kit rather than having the whole kit with water-cooled parts, but I don't know. This is what Simon and I mean, we talked about it a little bit on the stream a few weeks ago. About whether you go separate kits or upgrade kits and this kind of thing. So we've got those in. 2 hours, 17 minutes. So maybe we've got 15 minutes more to decide what else we can do. Because we've got a bunch of parts to print. Those are going to be done hopefully before the next episode, but obviously that is not now. Do we have a... See if I might need a USB-C adapter. Comes with a USB-C cable, but I think it's going to be a bit tight for this. It might go. Should be okay. And we got that. That's going to go between there and there. We've got to do motor wires and things as well at some point. I've got to work out the lengths that's going to be useful for those. And because we've got these really fat connectors, we might struggle a bit, because normally the motor wires that we're going to be using are pretty thin, because you don't need, I mean, they go to JST, that's pH, I believe, on the 6-pin side on the motor. So that's a pretty small gauge wire, but you've got these huge screw terminals on here, which are more suited for like 18 gauge or something, even 16 or 12 or something, I don't know, but something much larger. So might make some adaptations there. Yeah, ferrules is probably what I'm going to go with. You're right. They're a bit of a pain to do, but I've got them, so probably like these. I've got a bunch down here, so we can probably use those on some motor wires. Step motor wires. I don't know which one we're going to use. We might use this. Black, green, red, blue. Just PVC, but that should be fine. Hopefully that'll crimp on there, all right. Black, green, red, and blue, and then we can put them in there, and they match the wire colors, as long as we have enough wire. Then we'll be good to go there. But until we get more layout sorted, I don't want to go cutting more wires, because, as I've said 10 times today already, unless you know what length you're doing, you don't want to cut it too short and mess it up. White ferrules being the very small ones. Well, I don't think, I mean, these are very, very small. These are 20 gauge, these are 22. So maybe we could use white, depends. I'll have to test on the wires and see which ones grip appropriately. Maybe we'll stop there today. We're 2 hours, 20 minutes. I'm not sure quite what I'm going to do now. Before the next episode, hopefully, I'll have time to print this extra parts list, look up how to wire this, and I might even do the drilling. I'll print the templates. I need that. Have I put that on there? Yeah, jig. I'll print the jigs and do the drills and probably get everything drilled ready to assemble. So hopefully next episode we can actually progress with linking stuff together instead of just sort of planning. It leaves me quite a lot to do between episodes, but that's the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I also want to have a think about this PCB and how viable that would be as well, because I think that's a nice idea. It's basically like a power distribution board for your 3D printer. What do you think, PB Super? Do you think that'd be a good idea? I'm thinking it sits here. I don't know how much it would help. Is it going to impede more than it assists? I don't know. I did have a thought at one point that like these whole panels should just be PCBs, and then you just loop, but then you end up with like so many plugs and terminals that it doesn't really help that much. I like this layout. I think this is a solid layout. I mean, time will tell in terms of spacing. I mean, this could be a bit of an issue here. But I think with a little bit of sliding, putting that, tucking that under there, I'm not sure exactly how easy that's going to be. That might need some addition. It's a shame this is a fixed length. I mean, sometimes, or maybe it's... No, I don't want to flip the whole thing around because this is nice here. If we were to flip power supplies to put the 24 volt near to this, sorry, if we put the 24 volt near to this, and put the pi over here, the mains over here, that would be the same. This can go here, this goes over here, but this would end up flipping all the way upside down to deal with all the 48 volts that goes to here coming from this power supply, which then puts these connectors up over here, which is a little bit inconvenient. There are challenges. Have you got a build log for VzBot Discord? It'd be useful to know the tweaks you have noted down. No. My build log is the videos. So I comment on things in the videos, and sometimes I make notes on stuff afterwards. But the videos is pretty much it. Yeah, having this here makes sense. But you might be able to put, so I'm kind of thinking, there are PCB types, right? Where you can have a copper plate or copper open surface, top and bottom, on the edge of the PCB. So you could create a PCB that literally just pushes in to all of these connectors at once. You screw them all down, and that's all connected to this one PCB, which is basically then your bus bar, that then you could have like a connector at the end, plug 48 volts in, and it goes to all of the things. And then you could have your standard 4-pin JST XH that then takes out those wires into a JST XH for easy wiring for your motors, standard connectors, easy peasy, job done. I don't know exactly what current these motors are drawing. I don't know if Simon's got any data on that. If not, we've got the stepper motor analyzer. We can get that plugged in at some point, and then we can find out what kind of trace size and things we need. But shall I make a little drawing? No, I don't have any paper apart from this tiny piece. You could, I mean, the issue you might have, or could potentially have, maybe is having these all, they could be a bit weak because they'd be quite thin, and then alignment could be difficult, but you could put that all in and then screw these down, and then you know it's all in the right place. These are going to have some variance, which is not ideal. Screw terminals are nice for flexibility, but again, like standard connectors are even nicer. we can go back to using the standard JST-XH. Seems we're using standard motor cables, we don't want extra thick cables because we're only using NEMA 17 motors at the end of the day. Or, who makes these 5160s? Are these Mellow? These are Fly. They should. Can we just get them made with standard connectors? Why have they got massive screw terminals on them? If Mellow can make those Fly boards with just a 5160 on them. Yeah, you've just come to the same conclusion I have. Just change the blooming connector on here. I'm guessing they've done it because these 5160s could be used with like massive NEMA 23s, which use large connectors and typically large gauge wires. And you have this flexibility with this. Again, flexibility, nice. Result of the connector, annoying. If we can have just a JST-XH version, so we don't have to flip around with this lot. Because that also, if you stop this being a screw terminal, you also don't have to worry about the fact that you can't access it from the top. I mean, you can move that could be modified, but it is kind of annoying that you can't access the top of those things. Anyway, I think I've had enough babbly thoughts for today. I think we're all out now. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day too. I've had a lot of thoughts. Hopefully I've not annoyed anyone too much. It's not my intention. I just think out loud when it comes to these design things, and I know it's probably frustrating for those of you that have worked very hard to progress this to the stage that it's gotten to. I do respect the amount of work that's gone into it. But the more thinking you do, you can always find options for improvement, right? 90-degree JST-XH on the edge would be quite a nice option. Yeah. 5160s are separate for the cooling purposes, I believe. Anyway, yeah, that is going to be it. We're going to call it a day. We've reached the 2.5 hour mark. Thank you very much to Mellow for sending the kit, and to your VZ people in the chat that have been helping me along the way. I'm sure we'll get there pretty soon. I'm going to do a little bit of work, a little bit of revision, get this stuff printed out so we've got everything to mount it with, mount to, you know what I mean. Hopefully I'll get all that done by next week. And then we can zoom through the rest of the wiring, and we'll have a working printer in no time at all. Right, that's going to be it for me. Goodbye, everyone, and I shall see you next time. Bye.